Welcome, race fans, to round 9 of the Tardis Cup by Project Racing. My name is Webbo here in the comms booth, and can't wait to get underway here for the All-Australian League racing event here at Mount Fuji in the Fuji International Speedway. At the back of the grid, qualifying in 7th position, is MKD, with Bitcoin in P6. Taffy Dog qualified in 5th place, and just alongside on row 2, you'll find Cool Breeze in the black and teal McLaren. In the Lamborghini Huracan, the silver and blue will be Crammy, qualifying in 3rd position, and they will have the outside run on the way into the first corner. Daiichi Aruthra is in 2nd place in the sister Lamborghini, but on pole position we have Tango out there representing the McLaren manufacturer as we get ready for our racing. Hopefully you are ready for an epic battle here as we have 42 laps around Fuji International Speedway. They're under starters orders, and it's drop the clutch and go, go, go. An initial getaway from Crammy, very nice indeed, as Tango managed to claim and hold on to that lead position on the way in, but Crammy looks to be fighting forwards. It looks like Cool Breeze on a massive dive bomb down the inside, managed to avoid contact with other drivers, but very late on the brakes into Daiichi. We've also got then Crammy on the grass, half on, half off the grass, and claiming his position 2 into the next corner of turn 2. As they run around, this is going to be a very high degradation track here for the drivers, and we'll check out, of course, the stats and tyres that they've started on very soon. But Aruthra diving down the inside into that into the hairpin of turn 6, completing another overtake with the all chrome Lamborghini with skull and crossbones I just saw on the side of the car there as well. It's still going very busy with the fighting in the rear of the field, with Bitcoin leading the way in the multicoloured Chevrolet. Taffy Dog settling into 6th position, but MKD all over the back of him and working hard. But at the front of the grid we have Tango with that pole position as we get into this really tricky technical section of the racetrack. Aruthra going a little bit wide through the Nets corner as they head into the final corner. Very long, late apex of Panasonic, and it's Tango in P1 as we cross the line at the end of lap 1. It's Aruthra in P2. We have Crammy in P3, Cool Breeze in 4th, Bitcoin and Cool Breeze also then chasing down, getting the slipstream, which is super useful down here, and claiming the inside line at the moment. Seems to have stalled that top speed though, as Crammy manages to get the nose continued ahead here. Cool Breeze shaping to the inside, big late braking maneuver down the inside, but way too late on the brakes, running wide and out of the exit of Daiichi. Has to settle in to try and hold off Bitcoin, who took the classic racing line through the corner, and obviously with those bright Fujimax colours will be looming very large indeed in the mirrors of Cool Breeze. However, it looked like Bitcoin was struggling to take advantage of the situation. Tango is checking out front, but Aruthra trying to stay and ride the coattails, and he should still get a distant tow. Well, it looks like we've got some close fighting going on in this P5 position. Taffy Dog has claimed that 5th place as Bitcoin was all over the place really in that first sector, unfortunately. Let's take another look at what happened to help Taffy Dog through. Here we go, a little nudge in the rear perhaps from Taffy onto Bitcoin, but way too late on the brakes for Bitcoin. Managed to stay on track, but very much opened the door, laid out the welcome mat for Taffy, who didn't need a second invitation. Bitcoin down to 6th, Taffy Dog promoting himself there into 5th position, defending hard, going into Dunlop, turn 10, which they'll then of course go through this super slow chicane of 11 and 12. Cool Breeze fighting on here and doing his best. Let's make sure that we can see what's going on with the cars. Cool Breeze has gone for the hard tyres and will be just about into a good phase of tyre heat cycle, but they won't be delivering a great deal of grip at the moment. excuse me, Tango leads us, but it looks like the drivers have chosen the hard tyres for third and fourth position. The two medium runners at the front of the grid, Tango and Aruthra, and at the back of the grid we've got MKD starting on the hard tyres, soft tyres for Bitcoin, and obviously just trying to extend his braking zones to the greatest extent possible, but just not quite working out for him at this stage. He really needs to make use of these soft tyres. It's going to be a fascinating strategy between these drivers on this endurance length race here of a 42-lap race. I think we've got the wrong sim platform sticker on the license plates there. That looks for all the world like an Assetto Corsa livery sticker out there. Taffy Dog, 5th position. Cool Breeze though, trying to follow Crammy, and we will have a look at how the car is handling Crammy some distance away from the apex. That will help Cool Breeze to find his rhythm here. These two drivers, Cool Breeze that we ride with and Crammy, both on the hard tyres, so trying to keep the lead two in range, in visual range at least, while they go through this difficult phase and take the pain of the hard tyre. I'm unfamiliar with the racing requirements here from the drivers, but it kind of the 3 compounds split across the field kind of makes me guess at least that all 3 tyres might well be required for this one. Very different lines going through. Nets corner, turn 15 here from both drivers, but it's all important how you exit, of course. Panasonic, two major right-hand steering inputs there from Cool Breeze, and we'll look to the rear. There is little threat from behind, but we'll see if we might be able to catch the Lamborghini in front with help from the slipstream as we run through. We've almost used a quarter of a tank of fuel here on board Cool Breeze, with only 4 laps elapsed to this point. Down we go into Dunlop corner. Again, better on the apex. Crammy really struggling here, and Cool Breeze helping himself to a decent amount of time gain on Crammy as they run through the next few corners. Let's see if he can do this as Crammy again chasing the braking points, I think, and finding himself unable to quite get into where he needs to be in the apexes. So Cool Breeze looks to have a much better phase of his tyre management and grip quotient here for the McLaren versus the Lamborghini as Cool Breeze closes in, but unfortunately, thanks to the top speed of Crammy, whether that's the Lamborghini model or it's a setup choice, as Cool Breeze does pick up a fastest personal sector into sector 2 of the racetrack. Also going on just behind them is Taffy Dog versus Bitcoin once again. Bitcoin with the soft tyres has regained position, settled in, I hope, to a better sequence here. I'm not quite sure if that's Optimus Prime on the roof as well for Bitcoin. It is Transformers Bingo he's got on the side of the car, so is trying to fight the good fight here, though unfortunately unable to get away from the apex of Panasonic particularly well. He's got a lot of work to do, although that Chevy is a very, very quick car on the straights. Let's check in with Cool Breeze and see if he is catching Crammy, but that I think Crammy has got this wing trimmed out, so he seems to be suffering in the mid portion of the track, but in the all-important straight he's managing the top speed very, very nicely. And Cool Breeze's main opportunity for an overtake is going to be into Daiichi corner, that turn 1. And Cool Breeze though, again, much better handling here, so he might be able to spring a surprise as Crammy is slow through the right-hander of 100R. Cool Breeze goes for the move down the inside into the hairpin, and they may have touched slightly, but a fantastic overtake ultimately from Cool Breeze, and now he'll be hoping to try and steal a march here through the slow stuff and into the technical section of the track. Fully defensive going into the Dunlop turn 10 as Crammy does a beautiful switchback, goes outside to inside and gets back in front. Cool Breeze, unfortunately for him, unable to translate that overtake into a held position before the all-important straightaway coming after the next 2 turns. Crammy a long way out wide. Coolbreeze favouring a shorter run into the apex here, and we'll see if he can get within the slipstream angle and striking distance required here down the long straightaway that makes up this Fuji International Raceway. 5 laps elapsed. Tango and Arutha still out front in the lead in that order, but on the medium tyres on this long straight, Coolbreeze and particularly Crammy will still be able to see those rivals, even though the track heads downhill into Daiichi. I think they should still see them as they round Panasonic final corner. MKD is out there and he's working the wheel hard, and he's trying to find a way back into this race. But as things stand, the midfield is where the action sits. Crammy, Coolbreeze, Taffy Dog, Bitcoin from 3rd through to 6th position. So Coolbreeze is now, having lost a lot of ground there out to Crammy down the previous sector, and actually Taffy Dog closing in on his teammate here. This is Western Sydney Racing colours, WSR, in the dark carbon fibre and green accents here, almost British racing green, and they'll probably hate me for saying that, but it looks good out there in the Fuji sunshine. Looks talking weather, 3.4 meters per second northeasterly for the drivers. That will be pushing the cars into turn 1 from a tailwind perspective. It won't really help them in terms of top speed. You actually want a headwind almost to activate or even stall the wings on these GT3s to make sure that you can get that absolute maximum. But that will of course be a crosswind into several corners. I'm thinking particularly into turn 6, the hairpin. It's going to be a bit of a struggle for them, but they'll be hoping for just constant speed rather than gusting wind here for them. So Taffy Dog has a good slipstream here on his teammate. I'm not sure what team orders will be issued, but Coolbreeze a long way from the apex. That's almost welcoming Taffy Dog to have a go, but Coolbreeze managing to get the traction initially. Can barely see the rival through the A-pillar of the car here, and into Coca-Cola turn 3. Again, Taffy with a better run, and all these drivers on the hard tyres, with the exception of Bitcoin in 6th position, who is probably suffering quite a bit of soft tyre wear. And yeah, I'm not sure that front left is actually going to be very comfortable at all on this particular run. I think if we ride on board with Bitcoin, you're certainly going to find that those left-handers, quite often you will end up simply spinning off, because now we're going to brake heavily and then try and commit to asking that tyre a question, and you see full lock and absolutely no response from the car. But Bitcoin will be happy to get rid of these tyres and manage to get onto a better tyre, try and regain lost track position and time on this poor tyre that has only managed to do 7 laps of the torturous and punishing Fuji International Speedway. So let's see if he bails into the pit lane, again asking a lot of that front left, and unable to get all the way to the apex, or at least was incredibly patient. Looks to be drifting right, headed for pit lane, and he won't even need to stop the car here. He can just go straight on into the pit lane, can he? Well, he's missed the bollard, hits the wall. That will be that's risking some damage there from Bitcoin, as Taffy Dog goes for the outside move, using that slipstream, puts a lot of faith in Coolbreeze to not run into him, and perhaps too much faith, because he almost did. But Taffy Dog gets through into 4th place. Not the best start from Taffy, but certainly there's plenty of time to make up for lost ground. Lap 8 we are now on of the 42. Let's check in with the leaders and their tyre wear situation. With the mediums hanging on fairly well at this stage, we've obviously got the tyre wear credentials multipliers fairly low to enable this. Bitcoin in the pits, putting on a full tank of fuel, it seems. There we go, 100 litres of fuel into the car. and this is Tango and his tyre wear, bottom left of screen, certainly several laps away from even any kind of trouble, and worrying about whether he needs to push and try and head to the pits. That was Crammy having trouble getting to the apex. This is Taffy Dog tucking in, but Crammy holding the inside line for next corner and holding on. Taffy Dog with another outside to inside move. It almost paid off there. That was super close, but no cigar for Taffy Dog. He'll have to do exactly the same thing again. I think he'll be close enough. He's got a better angle through Panasonic corner, as now Taffy is chasing down Crammy, and we ride on board with him with full throttle. And right now you get the extra kph. In fact, we've got miles per hour rated on here. I think that's probably my miles per hour as a Brit, but the extra kph is to try and get on through. Taffy Dog braking hard, Crammy braking later, but I think disappearing off the racetrack as a result, and trying to brave it out on the outside, and unfortunately not working out for him. Taffy Dog then promoting himself to third position with some good pace at this stage of the race. 43.8 his last lap, and his top lap of 43.008 so far. Tango in the lead of the race holds that fastest lap on the better favoured medium tyres at this stage of 140.918. That is 3 seconds almost faster than what Taffy managed on the previous lap. It looks to be a fairly overcast day in the sky. We'll keep an eye on the weather in case we get any developments and any moisture in the air. Taffy Dog running in that third position and just snaking around. It didn't quite work for him there into Dunlop, and Crammy straight back through. Again, Crammy with some fantastic manoeuvring and patience gets straight back into the hunt in the Fanatec sponsored, Fanatec and Michelin sponsored Chrome Lamborghini Huracan, which is a great race car. Even the recent BOP adjustments haven't affected, haven't completely hobbled this car. Crammy though, unfortunately, pushing hard, pushing too hard, and running very wide. Now you can get away with running quite wide through that corner, as we sit full throttle here with Taffy Dog. The merest blip there as we change gear and waiting to use the top gear. We go into sixth gear. We actually held at the rev limiter for quite some time, and we'll see if Crammy is too late on the brakes again. I think much better this time. In fact, if anything, Taffy slightly later, slightly too late, and was unable to get on into the apex there once again. Lap 10 of 42. Tango leads Aruthra with a convincing lead, and they're actually, having yet to pit, are not far away. They're into the same sector as the tail runners, MKD and Bitcoin. Bitcoin having stopped now, and has recaught MKD on the run there after his pit stop. Let's see what tyres he went for. We've got Bitcoin on the medium tyres, so he's gone soft to medium. He'll then presumably have to use the hard tyres, I'm guessing, otherwise why would anybody want to use the hard tyres today? But certainly with the fuel loads, I think we can run an entire tank of fuel on the hard tyres with spare. As a flash of the lights from MKD, sometimes that's because of the way the drivers have configured their steering wheel, and they accidentally clicked the button. I don't think he was trying to communicate anything to the non-existent cars visible in front of him. And Cool Breeze then is in that fifth place. He's unable to quite live with his teammate. They haven't been able to piggyback slipstream from one another. But the main battle continues to be around Taffy Dog and Crammy, although it does look like Aruthra is closing in slightly here on the leader Tango. So let's watch with Taffy, see if Taffy manages to use that slipstream once again. 161, 162 miles an hour. Still Crammy is the faster down the main straight as they wait for the cars to pitch forward as they lean on that front axle into Daiichi corner. An absolutely perfect apex from Taffy that time. Aruthra can still see Tango in insight, and I don't think he's letting him completely get away with this one. Medium tyres though on these two drivers' cars, so they should have that extra pace at this early stage. Tango's best a 40.9, his last a 42.0. The grip definitely dropping away here, despite the fact that the fuel is getting lighter. 41.4 from Aruthra. Seems to have taken a little while to settle into the race, but is now finding some great pace at the mid to late point of this medium tyre stint. A personal best sector that time for Crammy, who is doing a similar job here, and will certainly have tyres in a great place right now on the hards. They're certainly settling in to a good run, but I think everybody, my suspicion is that there is a requirement to use every compound, and so hopefully we will see Crammy, we will see Taffy Dog getting up the road a little bit better once they're on the better favoured medium tyre. We've got Cool Breeze, the disappearing image of his teammate up front on the hard tyre, and Bitcoin has got past MKD. MKD, I think, has he now pitted? No, in fact, just struggling on those tyres, on the hard tyres phase. Bitcoin in a happy place at the moment, 46.9, his most recent lap. His absolute best on the soft tyres was a 41.7, so a whole second slower than the fastest we've had so far. Taffy Dog comes in, a little bit tired, I suspect, of following Crammy in his wake. A new set, I think, of hard tyres going in, but he's refueling at very least, and that was ahead of schedule for my suspicions anyway. I was expecting Taffy to run those tyres and the fuel completely zero, but there was clearly some fuel left in the car, and I would suspect more than a single lap, but I think he fancies a run out in some on some clear air, and he's chosen the medium tyres, and he's stopped refueling at 83 litres. So that is not 83 going in, that's 83 total in the car. So I wonder whether he feels like he can't do an entire fuel stint on the medium tyre, and better to just pace himself here through the next lap. The weather seems to be changing slightly on board with Crammy, and you can still see glimpses of blue sky. It is a tinted windshield here, and some sun out on the west side of the circuit. But I think as soon as we turn towards the north and northwest, you can actually see it is greying up quite considerably. Yes, I'm a typical Brit, and I'm talking about the weather, and you can slate me all you like about that. But it's going to be interesting because slowly but surely the detail on the horizon is dropping away, and I wonder if we might be in for some weather later on in this endurance race. MKD pits off his starting hard tyres. We'll see what he chooses to go on to next. Taffy Dog did confirm that he did go onto the medium tyre, and didn't quite brim the tank full of fuel. So really it's about how he can do in this clear air, and we'll do some lap time comparison once his tyres are up to functionality and he's able to get underway into clear racing laps, hot laps. Big slide across the WSR car as he goes through the Coca-Cola corner, turn 3. This is the 100R. Actually, deceptively difficult corner, 100R. It's not quite flat to get the optimal racing line, and then you've got to tuck in, get nice and straight for your braking into the hairpin, which is an early apex, early throttle application, and then round turns 8, the official turn 9, which is officially called 300R, and Japanese tradition of calling corners by their radius. So you get the 130R at Suzuki, you get 100R here, and you get 300R at this turn 9. This was going through the chicane at Dunlop. Good to see. Car operating pretty well at this stage. Cool Breeze. I think that's an Aussie road number plate there on the rear of the car. So obviously he's driving to and from the track. Proper owner-driver vibes there, as Crammy continues in P3, some distance away from the two leaders, but running his own race at this stage, as Tango still holds that fastest lap of a 1:40.918. So circulating through the 100R corner. Tango dropping down to the 142s in the last lap, and running low on the fuel as well now. So reaching the end of the operating period for this car. I wonder if he'll get an extra lap through here. And the medium tyres have hung on actually really nicely, despite the fact that he's been pushing those rear tyres. The medium compound on the McLaren have hung on well enough for Tango, and he's driving very well indeed. Very consistent laps this stage. Just a classic lap time drop off through. So McLaren 650 looking good as steering across right to the pit lane. I think Tango, he will now take his pit stop. He won't emerge in front of everybody else, but didn't fancy another lap, or perhaps didn't have another lap to refuel. Arutha on the same strategy. Remember, they both started on the medium tyres, missing out that bollard nicely, Arutha. So a good run into the pit lane. And that just leaves Crammy, who has yet to pit. I think Cool Breeze likewise, but Crammy will, I don't think, quite take the lead of the race, will he? Well, he's actually going to come in. So it looks like that was the maximum the drivers could eke out of the fuel tank. Possibly a gentle run on lap 15 might have made it all the way through. In fact, Cool Breeze is going to go for that 15th lap before he pits for the first time. And we'll see where Taffy Dog filters back through as they come back through the order. Looks like we've got slow refueling rate as well, so it's going to really elongate those pit stops for the drivers. And Tango, he is filling the tank. Will he go right to the brim? And will this be a hard tyre run here? His first experience on the hard tyres, and out of the pit lane he will now exit. And he has gone for the hard tyres and a full tank of fuel for this second stint of his race. It's lap 15 officially of the 42, and Tango emerges from the pits. He is still in the net lead naturally. Actually, look, Arutha has gone for another set of mediums, but a full tank of fuel. So I wonder whether he's feeling a little bit more confident now the track has gripped in. The sun is somewhat brighter on the track now, and bringing the race temperature higher, I imagine, on the track. The wind somehow or other has done a complete about face and is now a 3.5 metre southwesterly, and it is now a headwind going into Daiichi Corner, and a push wind, a tailwind heading into Dunlop. I wonder if we'll see some drivers struggling to arrest the car's speed into Dunlop as a result of that. Now that the wind has done a full about face. Very, very strange to see. But maybe that was a weather front moving out rather than moving in on the track, because it does appear to have brightened up considerably. Cool Breeze then, end of lap 15, will pit. Fuel tank flashing. Again, just managing to make a pit stop a little bit cleaner than we saw earlier on. Cool Breeze heads in with 5% of fuel left as Tango will retake the lead of the race. He's on the hard tyres right now. We'll be looking to see whether Arutha can catch Tango now that he's on the medium tyres. The visible gap doesn't look a great deal different to when it did on the in-lap period. I wonder whether Arutha is suffering some cockpit temperature issues as well with that paint job. It's certainly going to act like a tinfoil blanket around a potato. The Lamborghini is going to absorb an awful lot of sun's temperatures. But Arutha, now second stint on the medium, it's going quickly, and that's a personal best sector. Taffy Dog is doing the same thing as well. Personal best sector for him without the use of any kind of slipstream either. So on the racing medium tyres for the first time today, and lower on fuel than those leaders, and getting very greedy at the apex, just kicking a little bit of dirt and marbles across the racetrack surface is Taffy Dog. As those gaps have obviously increased as a result of the pit stop and slight change of circumstances, but Taffy Dog comfortably in front of Crammy now. Crammy can barely see Taffy, so I think that is Taffy short fueling that has bought him some time on the mediums. He's going for a really aggressive stint here, try and get that track position, that clear air on the front splitter and those dive planes on the McLaren 650S. That's obviously going to be his main aim here, and do the work and possibly demotivate the drivers behind him a little by making that change. Cool breeze across the grass and the kicking that grass and detritus across the race surface as Bitcoin has gone onto the medium tyres for his second stint and is following in Cool Breeze wake. I wonder though if this is going to look a lot better for Bitcoin now. He really struggled on those soft tyres early on. I think a combination of trying to use the speed while he had it, a poor start, and then struggling with the tyre wear and being gentle with the tyres throughout the course of the first stint has been problematic. But the speed of the Chevy is pretty immense. It's currently running 156, 157 miles an hour. He's got 1 or 2 mile an hour faster than Cool Breeze without much in the way of slipstream, so putting the pressure on already. Now Bitcoin will join him on board in this Chevy Corvette. Should be able to hear a low growly note as we run through, and Cool Breeze missing the apex, getting those tyres very dirty on the right hand side of the car. They've left MKD for dead here, frankly. MKD only just coming out of turn 2. We're heading into turn 6 here, the hairpin. Another issue with missing the apex, getting greedy on the braking zone, and going into full lock again is Bitcoin. I don't know if Bitcoin is racing on controller. I think he's fairly smooth. It's just rare to see a driver go at full lock to this degree. Yeah, and that will be scrubbing the front tyres quite considerably. Seems to turn very aggressively into the corners in the second phase of the braking. Maybe, but I am just a commentator, what do I know? Getting into the nets corner, that's a nice line through nets for Bitcoin, and he'll hope to get a nice late apex. This is just offline slightly though, and that means that the car will not turn to the right because you've just dirtied up the outside front tyre on the way into that all-important apex, where you want to be able to stamp on the throttle, even if it means understeer and heading 2 or 2.5 wheels over the racing line. It's running down then towards Daiichi corner, and we'll get Mount Fuji in view. The mountain range in the backdrop, of course. And Bitcoin running well and chasing down here. Cool Breeze. Let's check in then with the other drivers. It looks like Aruthra has done a fantastic job here at catching Tango, and is now filling Tango's mirrors. Tango had the first stint all to himself when they were both on the medium tyres, but Aruthra, going for that super wide entry, manages to just get off the marbles into the apex, and then really powering on into the next corner through Panasonic. In fact, Tango already being defensive on the inside line here. We get a super close-up camera angle. We almost didn't see Tango for a moment as he was so far right. Looked like headed forward towards the pit lane, but that means Aruthra has not been able to maintain his run here on the using the slipstream. So this is all going to have to happen on the brakes. Tango earlier on the brakes, Aruthra much later will look for the cutback, but in fact ends up not being able to hit the apex at all. And Aruthra perhaps just considering his tactics after that failed attempt. He picks up a slower first sector there as a result, just really one corner in that first sector, but Tango made his intentions clear in terms of defending hard and braking at a fairly optimal point on the track despite being offline. That inside line into Daiichi corner is very low grip, so he was conservative and it paid off, because Aruthra had to go the long way around the outside, was forced into braking as late as possible, and has lost probably 2 or 3 seconds to Tango as a result of having to take a different line into turn 1. yeah, 2.2 seconds slower than his best through the second sector. Running through Dunlop, then a lot of work left to do then for Arutha, and he really does need to strike soon, because the difference between the two tyre compounds is only going to move towards Tango advantage through here. But he is a little bit lighter on, no, I was going to say lighter on fuel. They have the exact same fuel load at this stage, but Arutha are confident he can run the tank empty, I think, into the third stint, towards the end of this second stint. We're approaching the half distance already. This is flying by here as Arutha runs full on here, full throttle, and looking to try and make the move. So a quick close-up look at his chrome livery. He's got plenty of room to add some more sponsors. I'm not sure if that is, yeah, it's a kind of Cthulhu skull and crossbones there. It seems to be sort of slightly octopus-like on the skull and crossbones. Must be a team or personal symbol. But yeah, could add a few sponsors, I think, here. And if you do like the commentary today, you can find some Webo comms decals on Gran Turismo. Just search Webo. You should be able to find some. Several of my drivers do add my logo onto their car, and I always like to spot them, and always enjoy seeing it. Arutha then down into Dunlop again, just wearing around that track limit on the apex of turn 11. Lamborghini should be very nicely handling through here. We've got Bitcoin in for his second stop. He went soft to medium. So I wonder if he's now going to have to try those hard tyres out. It's kind of my nightmare as a driver is to continually put worse, less grippy tyres on the car throughout a race. I tend to like to go the opposite way and get the pain out of the way early and then enjoy the grip later on. But of course then you do potentially lose first stint pace as a result of that, and then you can lose ground. So I understand the alternate approach. It's just not my preference, but don't have a huge amount of experience, it has to be said, of actually working the wheel. Cramy is in fourth position as he comes out of Panasonic, and I'd like to have a quick look at his livery as well. While the gaps are fairly large, I'm not quite sure I know what the green stickers are on the back of the car. I think some of the detail may have been lost in the shut lines of the McLaren, but there's no mistaking his preferred tyre manufacturer at all. Interesting asymmetrical pattern there on the Lamborghini, of course. And he's flashing the lights again. Maybe he knows we're watching him, or he's just got his light flash symbol. But certainly enjoying some French sponsorship with the Elf Fuel and the Michelin tyres as well. Cramy coming through. And this is South Coast Racing, the SCR, Cramy and Arutha. I don't know if that is indicative of what part of Australia they're from. I'm assuming so. As we've got West Sydney and we've got South Coast. Cramy running in that fourth position nicely at this stage. Have we got a pit stop happening there? We haven't, no. This is Arutha in second, Tango in first, and I think that's Bitcoin picking up a blue flag. He's moving across to the right of the track. I think he was expecting the drivers to come through, but they were sufficiently far behind to not worry about it. This is slightly tricky then. Again, I don't know 100% the racing rules just yet at Project Racing, whether they are committed to blue flags, but wow, that was super close for Tango. Let's just check that one out again, because that was definitely a hairy moment. He thought he was going to be okay, and then, well, it was almost like he just scythed through Bitcoin, crazy close, but ultimately I'm not even sure there was contact. Bitcoin leaving no no chance to have the same kind of treatment again there from the following Aruthra, and that was a bit of a hairy moment there. It should have been a lot easier to pass the sixth place runner Bitcoin for Tango. Made a real meal of it, but helped into that by Bitcoin. This is the lime green, white and black of Tango. Plenty of sponsors on the car here, Tango, including his own gamer tag name. But lots of detail on the McLaren, and we like a bit of that. But Aruthra has gained position, gained track time here on Tango, and hopefully we will see some battling soon, because he's doing a good job at showing the consistency he needs now, and is getting tucked in. Now, why is Aruthra not using the slipstream? That's annoying me now. Follow Tango's wheel tracks completely here, and you can gain those extra kph that you need to make the move. And he has gained a little, and I think that's down to the difference in setup. Tango's so much better on the brakes into turn one. Aruthra still experimenting, I think, with finding the absolutely optimal position, and then going to have to read into that what that would feed into his tactics to make a pass. He goes out wide through 100R for a later apex, earlier on the throttle, then back down into a very short straight down into turn 6 hairpin. Aruthra quite getting tucked into the apex again, but running out super wide, extending the track on the exits of the corners, just not quite there on the entries. He shows his nose to Tango on the way in through the next 300R and into Dunlop corner, stealing a lot of apex then through Dunlop. Aruthra as close as he needs to be here to try and get that slipstream on the next lap through. Tango on the defensive, on the hard tyres. Aruthra really needing the exit from Panasonic of the race so far. There was Mount Fuji just sneaking into view as we went through the corner. Aruthra goes out wide, tries to get the power down as early as possible, also going wide on the slightly inclined exit of the next corner. And here he is then, and just using the clear air in front of him and not the slipstream once again. And I hate to go on about it, and I won't say it again, but clearly Tango is defending, and Aruthra, unless it is completely banned to use any kind of slipstream, and I've only really heard of that in qualifying before, but Tango closing back down to the racing line, again putting quite a lot of faith in Aruthra to make his braking point stick. We'll sit on the driver's shoulder here, kind of parrot cam as it were, towards the apex, and a good first sector from Aruthra, his best so far. His last lap of 142.8. Tango's very best at 140.9. Tango moving around there somewhat in the braking zone. Wasn't really a major defence, but this is Aruthra then trying to shape towards an inside line manoeuvre down into Dunlop. Again, another personal best sector so far for him. Over the apex of Dunlop we go, avoiding that bollard if we can. Definitely able to get a lot more grip here. As soon as he gets into the faster corners, it's harder, as Tango then closes the door quite late on the way into Net's entry. Little touch between them, and Aruthra just serving notice to Tango here that he's ready to make the overtake. Going out wide, not getting the braking performance he really needs through the entry line into Panasonic. Tango again running to the right hand side of the track, or at least the very middle. Can sometimes get a little bit of a breather on the car if you really hug the pit wall on some long straightaways around the world. Sometimes the crowned surface of the road can help as well. That helps to drain the water to the outside edges of the circuit, which is very important here in Fuji, of course, as well. Sometimes you can get a small advantage, particularly in open wheelers, by running right up against that wall, but not in the dirt, of course. as Arutra once again quite wide. This is the battle on track at the moment. Tango leading Arutra for second and first positions. Then we've got Crammy in third, Cool Breeze in fourth, and there's another dark cloud on the at the top of the screen there for a moment. Cool Breeze in fourth, Taffy Dog in fifth, we've got Bitcoin in sixth, and MKD down in seventh position. As we're nearing the end, I think, of stint 2 here for some of our drivers. Tango will be desperate to get off these hard tyres, and Arutra is fast in all the wrong places, and a bump and run from Arutra. I don't know if the stewards will be having a dim view of manoeuvres like that, but Arutra may take the view that if he gets any kind of small penalty for that infringement, it would be worth it to clear Tango and just get out into some clear air. And sometimes that is problematic with the penalties that we might have. Certainly small time penalties over long race distances, is that drivers can just do a little nudge another rival off their ideal run. This is the last place P7 MKD getting his second lap put on him as he heads into the pit lane for his second pit stop now. And blue flags were waved, but I think that was for the driver who was headed into the pit lane, so the marshal not really being updated there as they would have preferred. Now Tango gets to potentially run a little bit lighter on the fuel load, and he can lift and coast a little bit if he wants to stay in the wake of the wedge-shaped Lamborghini. In fact, picking up a fastest first sector running through there, which was very nice indeed. That's Tango running behind Arutra, and Arutra wanting to extend that gap as early and as long as possible before his medium tyres run out of fuel. Keeping an eye on Tango now, because he is about to close out his next sector of the racetrack. Clicking over, and he lost time in sector 2, yes. So I wonder if he will regain that time thanks to the slipstream. On board with him as he navigates the right-hander of turn 13 in towards 14, and then the officially named Nets corner of 15, that second apex to the left. And there's Arutra taking that wide line. Now I thought Tango was typically a little bit narrower, and he is, but I thought he was more tight to the apex there. Profile, the off-camber profile of Panasonic means that it might pay dividends to be closer on the inside line on the braking and apex. You're not really taking a classic racing line through there. The grip is more on the inside, as you can see thanks to the marbles on the surface. But Tango was not able to produce a fastest lap so far on that one. He is still on that hard tyres, don't forget. So this is car number 3. Tango racing here, and again another fastest sector, just that distant toe. I think for the first time running behind another driver, he can get some good pre-worked air on that front wing of the car. It's really a wing, I know, it's more of a splitter, but you know what I mean. I know you guys know what I mean. In second place then, Tango trying to find. Let's go through the field as Crammy is in third place, very much on his own here on his second stint and using the mediums for the first time. Not too far away, probably half a lap or so away from the leaders. So a big incident between those two leaders could still bring him a lot closer to the fight, as Cool Breeze has dropped considerably back on his medium tyre stint from Crammy. Taffy Dog has had a hard start, and then he's now on his second set of mediums. So he's had his second pit stop, and again didn't overfuel the car. He's running some fairly aggressive stints here, but at the moment I'm not sure how much it's helping him. His fastest lap so far, a 1:41.6, just 2 laps ago, and he's now 4 laps into his second stint on the mediums, third stint overall. It's lap 27 of 42, as you've got MKD there, P7 just ahead, being lapped by P5 Taffy Dog. Where's the brightly coloured Bitcoin? He is on the start-finish straight, just crossing the line there to start his 27th lap and he is back on the soft tyres and wearing through them, and I'm assuming we'll be headed in towards the pit lane, perhaps even on the end of this lap, this 27th lap for him, learning from his first stint that was a lot shorter than that. So we go through. This is MKD, who has just been lapped by Taffy Dog P5. Ruthera's gap to Tango slightly larger than it was when we were last here, but not a huge difference. Tango has ended up using more fuel, presumably running in the lead for so long, has used more fuel than Aruthera, and Aruthera has got the medium tyres working nicely. I think he might be able to do an extra lap here, and Tango, who's shorter fueled this hard tyre run, presumably for overall race speed, so he'd be lighter for longer in this stint on the hard tyres, is now regaining on Aruthera, who's very, very wide, trying to cut back, and Tango running into him. That was a bit of a Verstappen-style overtake, who didn't allow Aruthera to rejoin the track at all. Both drivers pushing incredibly hard and following each other, are they, into the pit lane. Aruthera pitting earlier than I thought he might, but not happy on those tyres. So Tango in off the hard tyres, Aruthera in off the mediums, and it's a race in the pit box for the teams as they come through. Crammy then starts his run out of Panasonic, and will hope to pick up positions here on Tango for a single lap, or is he heading into the pit? Oh, there's a mind change happened there. He was thinking about the change, but it didn't quite go for him, as he now picks up the lead of the race for what I imagine to be a single lap, and the fuel is going in on the cars. Of course, Aruthera might be able to get the jump here on Tango, because he came in with more fuel as a reset point. Cool breeze then, end of lap 28 for him, into the pits as well, and the fuel is still going into Tango and Aruthera. They've both brimmed the tanks. Aruthera heads out of the pit lane and will indeed get out in front of Tango, so that didn't really make a great deal of difference for Tango to make that overtake on the in lap, as Aruthera managed to pit, and just profiting from less time stationary, being refueled. He's now out on the hard tyres, Tango on the mediums, so the roles are reversed once again between these two, and yet to use, I think, the soft tyres, maybe saving the softs for the very end of the race and running as long as possible on this third stint. It's approaching lap 30 of the 42 overall, so I would imagine if they do have to use the softs, then they will use them in the final stint of the race and really go aggressive, and we might see some headline lap times at that stage. But Tango on the warm-up phase should be shorter and easier than the warm-up phase for Aruthera's hards, but as I said before, the Lamborghini, a very fine race car indeed. Now, I don't actually know if this race was being held prior to the most recent BOP adjustment that seemed to kind of stall the OP nature of the Lamborghini Huracan, but relatively evenly matched cars here, these two, as Tango is looking good on those medium tyres and should be able to make the overtake. Hopefully that he'll be a little bit better at the overtake than previously, and he is tucked right up then to Aruthera's car, and Aruthera holding his line. He's made his one defensive move to the inside. They will go side by side down the pit straight here, and Tango with the advantage into turn one, Daiichi corner. Aruthera can only try and perform the cutback as we get very, very up close and personal to the apex, and Tango completes the move then back into the lead of the race. And will he start to check out now that he's got those better tyres on for a few laps anyway? For probably 5 or 6 laps, those tyres are going to be far better. Aruthera just needs to hang on to the coattails of Tango and ride that wake as much as possible. Maybe actually use the slipstream down the start-finish straight, and hang on to Tango here while he's on the different tyres. But the drivers don't necessarily know the tyres of the rivals around them, so he might think, oh, I've suddenly lost speed here, I'm sure he will start adding it together, though when he sees and can follow Tango's lines through the corner, he'll know that that the tyres are performing better for him. I imagine these drivers are very much familiar with each other. There's only so many on the track, so they probably know each other's strengths and weaknesses very well indeed. So they'll be able to rule out where they know there's natural speed in the driver's abilities and start to attach meaning to what's happening with regard to the tyres. Rutherford does like that really wide entry, really wide exit line through Panasonic, and he'll be following behind. Tango did show him how to use the slipstream on that previous lap with the overtake, and now he is doing a little bit more to follow in those wheel tracks. Maybe a hint of a car just behind this pair of Taffy Dog. Where is he in his phase at the moment, where he's just slightly ahead with his pit stop phases? I think he might be headed onto the hard tyres soon, but because I don't think he'll be able to get a set of softs home at the end of this medium tyre stint. But stranger things have happened. Tango is in 4th position. Sorry, Crammy is in 4th position. I was reading the fastest lap for some strange reason, but it's Crammy very much in that 4th position in the Michelin sponsored excuse me, the Michelin sponsored South Coast Racing chrome liveried Lamborghini Huracan. And Cool Breeze in that 5th place at the moment. We seem to have lost Bitcoin. Bitcoin has quit out, I think, or disconnected, sadly. So we started with just 7 drivers. We're down to now 6. Bitcoin out of the race. So MKD is going to pick up more points if he can hang on here. Just have a quite close-up look at his livery. The green machine, he's saying. Do we have a hint of a different flag there? It's a flag I'm unfamiliar with, the red with gold kind of compass point on the inside centre. So yeah, it is very much a green machine for MKD. He's rocking race number 5 for Team Green, the very originally named Team Green. MKD then in that 6th position. His phase on the soft tyres is about halfway through at this point, and I think he may have overfueled slightly. You really want to use the soft tyres while the car is at its absolute lightest and best, and that's your best race pace, because you're never going to use a full tank of fuel on the soft tyres. And Tango, not a lot of space on his car for future sponsors to sign. But certainly leading the way here and has extended the gap slightly to Aruthra, and doing a good job. We have 10 laps to go around Fuji International Speedway. That's in addition to finishing the one that they are on, so 10 laps in a sector as Tango then navigates his way through Dunlop. Aruthra struggling to hold on, and he's been sort of yo-yoing close and far from Tango, but never quite out of sight throughout the course of this race. But he's got to take that hard tyre pain at this stage, and as soon as the soft tyre window is open, with maybe 6 laps to go, maybe 5 or 6 laps to go, I'm sure he will bail into the pit lane and get his final stint started, because really don't want to be on those hard tyres a moment too long. And of course they'll be furiously calculating their fuel use and and how soon those tyres will happen. Taffy Dog goes to the pit lane, and in he comes, team standing by and ready for him. We have a very multicoloured pit lane here for the mechanics overalls, but heading in is Taffy Dog off the medium tyres with just 10 litres of fuel on the car. And there comes the big fuel Bowser mechanic to refuel. Once the tyres are out, fuel goes in, and Taffy Dog wearing the Project Racing stickers there for the Western Sydney Racing Team. ready. And as I said, that's a very slow refuel rate. Really does help if you can extend your stint by a lap or two, and you can save several seconds in the pits as a result. Cool Breeze is going to pass his teammate. Cool Breeze has already made his pit stop and is running. His pit stop was around lap 29. He is starting his 4th lap after the most recent pit stop, and he's also got a car in front of him, which is MKD, to make the pass. I haven't really seen any incidents like we saw with Bitcoin and Taffy Dog, with lapped cars kind of at least slowing down the leaders as they come through. Cool Breeze, I don't think MKD will be particularly thrilled with the fact that Cool Breeze in 5th is about to lap him, just one position in front of him, but it does save him a little bit of running out there, because it'll be one fewer laps for him to run. Cool Breeze versus MKD. This is MKD. This is going to be tricky for Cool Breeze, but MKD very sportingly just moves aside, lifts the throttle, even though he's on the better soft tyres. Taffy Dog has come out on medium tyres. I think he may have already used his softs through a stint, and I didn't catch that stint explicitly. But out into 4th place, he'll be expecting pit stops, or at least to recatch, because he doesn't really want to be finishing behind his teammate. Cool Breeze is out there in 5th, and certainly Taffy staying ahead of Cool Breeze at this stage, but there'll be a small advantage for Cool Breeze to run here with his up to temperature tyres. I think those mediums will comfortably make it to the end of the race now. Is that a problem for Tango, or was that MKD spinning? I thought someone was spinning there just in front of Aruthra, but it just looked to be Tango just getting a bit oversteery on the approach into Dunlop corner. He's fine. It looked to be steering away from the angle of the racing line. Tango running then out wide into Panasonic, as he'll be exiting the corner just as Aruthra enters the corner, as Tango then powering out. Not interested in a pit stop at this point. I think another couple of laps, maybe 3, before they might consider the soft tyres. And Aruthra with that hard tyre pace at the moment, which is somewhat painful for him, but hopefully he'll be able to regain that lost time by making an earlier stop in comparison to Tango. Indeed, he plans to. He might be running all the way to the end, and I'm just and the driver's completely free to use all 3 compounds. I'm just learning about project racing here at this stage in the racing rules. But a good first sector from Aruthra without the use of a slipstream. It's actually quite a handy time there. Personal best first sector as we move through the 100R into turn 6, the hairpin, which is a very, very open corner for a hairpin. In fact, Dunlop is more of a hairpin, followed by another 2 slower ones than the hairpin, the officially named hairpin here. This is Dunlop as we head in. Very sharply apexed corner. When you're going to fully turn right and have the official turns 11 and 12, then yeah, definitely it's a lot tighter. Aruthra hitting the bollard and getting plenty of grass there on the car. So he's toying with track limits, toying with getting a penalty, in fact, as well, as the leader Tango is about to cross the line. MKD has pitted from 6th place, so that will only extend the time deficit he has to the leaders here, and Tango has started lap 36 of the 42. Aruthra crosses the line as well, passes the pit lane, passes MKD, who's in the pits. They'll be relieved that they don't have to actually pass him on track. 2 leaders. Crammy comes on into that Panasonic corner next. He's on those medium tyres. Some good lap times. He's certainly the best of this stint, a 1:41.672. I'm hoping we get some soft tyre running at the end, because we'll have some drivers pushing for the fastest lap. Still held after the first stint by Tango, a 140.918. It's Taffy Dog then, 4th position, 41.6 his last lap. Shows some good pace on his first flying lap out of the pit lane. There is the start-finish line, 42.0 that lap. The lap 36 has been cancelled, so he may have transgressed track limits on that lap, and the race stewards have taken their time to delete that lap. Cool Breeze running in the 5th position now, and you can see his teammate up the road for Western Sydney Racing, but the team probably not particularly happy with a 4th and 5th finish overall. Big drift from Cool Breeze, that was well held. I did enjoy watching that one from the head-on camera. Enjoyed that, and yes, Cool Breeze playing it cool into the turn 3 of Coca-Cola. Well, certainly out of the turn 3 of Coca-Cola. Soft tyres have gone on to MKD, so he's quite happy they will make the end of the race. He's actually fully fueled this car for just about 9 racing laps, so that might be a slight miscalculation. Most drivers will be driving the whole race at full richness of the fuel mix, but that was his last pit stop, I'm sure. And Tango then, medium tyres, half a tank of fuel remaining, so he could get away with just a change onto the soft tyres and very little, if any, fuel going into the car. But at this point he may be thinking, actually I've got track position, and just dialing back the speed might be the safer option, rather than running onto tyres that are faster degrading or worrying about in-lap out-lap procedure. He's got that track position, he's got a good gap. Arutha on the hard tyres has struggled this particular stint to stay with Tango, now that he's at a tyre disadvantage and wasn't able to hold off Tango's overtake. He jumped him in the pit lane, but Tango eventually got through at the start of this stint, past car 42. Arutha comes out of Panasonic then, and stamps on the throttle. He will start his 38th lap, I believe. He will. So he will start lap 38, 4 to go plus the one that they are on, and Tango leads them as he has done for probably, I would say, 90% of the race distance so far. Crammy in 3rd is closing in here on, I think, MKD in that 6th position to put another lap on the McLaren Green Machine driver. And Crammy just enjoying this Huracan racing experience in the cockpit. Just have a quick look while we've got a nice straight to go. There was the blue flags that Crammy is being given, well, certainly MKD has been given on behalf of Crammy here on board. I like the matching race gloves to car colour. MKD super wide on the exit of Daiichi corner. I don't think that was a deliberate manoeuvre from him to get out of the way, but perhaps he was looking in his mirrors and thinking about the blue flag and missed the braking point. Easily done here for MKD. Cool Breeze is in the pits. I wonder now, is this going to be soft tyres going on the Western Sydney Racing drivers' McLaren? We join on board with Taffy Dog, making full use of that rear view camera, but it's not the best positioned place for a camera, really. I mean, you don't want to use your kind of your windscreen real estate, but there is a big fat windscreen sticker that you could make use of, and I feel like the camera really should be in the traditional position, if not slightly just center of the driver's vision here. I personally enjoy racing on VR. One of the biggest advantages, there are plenty of disadvantages, but one of the biggest advantages of using VR is you can make use of all 3 mirrors whenever you see fit, and the side mirrors, side windows as well. You can even look over your shoulder if you don't have a big head guard on your seat, but I do enjoy the visibility aspect feels like a very natural experience for drivers. And if you do want to see any of that point of view, on my channel you'll find plenty. So wherever you happen to be, if found this channel and video today, you should be able to find some VR POV racing as well, if you're curious. But Taffy Dog in P4. I thank everybody who supports the channel in whatever way possible, be that a subscription, a comment on a video, a clip of your favourite moment, or a timestamp in the comments, or just leaving a like, all very gratefully received. Taffy Dog then in P4, and hasn't gone for the soft tyres. Cool Breeze definitely has, now on his out lap. Just check in with Aruthra and with with Tango, sorry, as maybe he'll just be running 2 clear laps potentially on the soft tyre, if he is indeed going to use them. I don't believe he's used them yet, but Cool Breeze thinking, well, he has a free pit stop. He had Taffy in front of him that he wasn't going to catch at this point. Aruthra not pitting either, quite happy on his hard tyres at this stage. Tango with 1/4 of a tank of fuel left. You can just see Aruthra in the rear vision, and let's maybe ride on top of the car here and see where we can see Aruthra and how the car is behaving here. Just very much on the horizon there through Daiichi Corner as we turn into Coca-Cola turn 3. Tango's penultimate stint here, or final few laps, have been very, very good indeed. Very consistent now that he's not dealing with Taffy. The lap times on the right of your screen increasing in trend, of course, because the tyres are worsening, but he is certainly enjoying things out there a little bit. I think we may avoid any rain. The wind direction has changed again as it rotates clockwise, now in almost directly northerly wind. So again, another change for the drivers. That'd be a big change going into that Dunlop corner. So sponsored on the outside of the exit, and yeah, we're just winding up now. Lap 40 of 42 is almost complete for our leader. Running then down into the Panasonic corner, and we can no longer see Aruthra. So I do wonder if we will now head in towards the pit lane here for Tango to use the soft tyres. Of course, if the drivers do forget about the soft tyres, it would be rather embarrassing. So if they are required to use them, they will then pick up a post-race penalty that would be applied to their car at the end. Aruthra, though, not pitting either. So 2 clear laps left to run. We are starting the penultimate lap on board with Aruthra, for the leaders here at least. That is Crammy, who's now picked up a half-second penalty in his Lamborghini, and you can see the penalty is nearing. It's on the main straightaway. It's quite cruelly positioned, actually. It would be much more helpful for the drivers in the gap between the hairpin and Dunlop, but he's not going into the pits either, so I think maybe the drivers are not required to go for all 3 compounds, because if you want to make use of it, you would have gone in now, because you've still got to use the outlap before you can sort out your bid for fastest lap. This is Taffy Dog, and I think we just saw Taffy Dog and maybe MKD going wide again as a driver is coming through, and Taffy Dog still on the lead. He's not on the lead lap, is he? Yes, he is. Good. Okay, so Taffy Dog on the lead lap still, which is great for him. No extra points for that, but a little bit of pride. Cool Breeze is doing likewise as we check out where Tango is almost lapping Cool Breeze. They have put multiple laps on MKD today, but I don't think he's actually going to close in and make the run to lap P5 Cool Breeze. So he'll be pleased with that. I think Cool Breeze to stay on the lead lap. That had to be target number 1 today. And Tango is going to start his final lap of the race. I wonder if this will be a bid for fastest lap. We'll stay with him, because if he's going to do it and beat that 140.918, it will be on this lap, of course. The car very light with fuel. Might make a mistake if he's pushing as well. And we'll see how his first sector progresses as he crosses the beam about now. And that is a best so far of a 0.003 improvement on his own fastest first sector. So a quick check-in with Aruthra, who's probably going to do a very similar run, and he's personal best by 4/10 as well. So they are duking it out on this final lap, which I absolutely love to see. Nobody's stroking it home at this point, being very, very aggressive. And we may see some fireworks here before the end as Tango then approaches the end of his second sector. He's flashing red with fuel. He's not concerned about that at this point. And that middle sector was not the best because of those used medium tyres that are far from in their best condition. Aruthra, is he going to maintain? No, he also is slightly slower than he's been before. I think the fastest lap bid might be over for Tango, but he's just got 2 braking zones left to go now, and a long, tough endurance race. But Tango has been the best out there for the vast majority of this Fuji International Speedway round 9 of the Tardis Cup. Tango powers out of Panasonic corner. This has been a very, very strong showing from the Aussie for the team, and he's going to cross the line, pick up the checkered flag, and win here in Fuji. We've got Aruthra closing in then to take a very well-earned and hard work race for second place. He did race Tango at various points throughout this period, but a second place for Aruthra. Cramy not too far away over the course of this race distance, a significant distance, and has stayed comfortably in that third place for quite a long period. He's had a lonely race. It's been a battle against his own focus levels, I think. Flashing the lights coming out of Panasonic, and Cramy will take third position. Next up we've got Taffy Dog. He comes out. He can still see. He can see the car in front. He can see Cramy, but he will take fourth for Western Sydney Racing. Squinting to find the checkered flag being waved to the right of the pit wall just there, and takes fourth place. And Cool Breeze also with his teammate will circulate and finish up here with a penalty on the car as well. I think that might be a Fernando Alonso helmet, circa the golden years of Fernando Alonso, the winning years, shall we say, as he comes through and completes the race then on the final lap, the final one to cross the line, because MKD had been lapped. But Cool Breeze in 5th, MKD in 6th, and Tango is your race winner. Thanks so much for watching, folks. I will see you further down the road, and I will catch you on the next race.